episode of Happy Marriage, Happy Hour. So today's topic is all about feelings and emotions.
And the words we use to communicate them.
And so we have our little feeling words here to help us along. But I think the first thing we want to talk about was that feelings are different than thoughts.
Yes, I think that's a really important thing to start on, because especially in the type of communication that we usually use in the English language, we tend to end up saying things like, I feel like you are being an ass, or whatever it is, right?
I feel that you...
I feel like you did that on purpose. I feel like you're doing that. Or I feel...
Right. Even on the sheet, we noticed they're wrong.
Yeah.
So one of them says, I feel my partner is never there for me, which is not a feeling at all. That's a
The
thought.
point is, we don't use emotions when we're communicating I feel. When you're saying I feel, the next word should be an emotion word. Right? Not a thought, not an idea, not a behavior, not something else. Right?
Now, if you think that your partner is never there for you, there's...
What does that feel like?
Yeah, that's your thought, but then I would push you to think about, well, what feeling is behind that?
Yes, so what does it feel like to think that your partner's never there for you?
It's
Well,
empty or lonely.
it feels lonely. Yeah, it feels lonely, it feels scary, it feels hurtful, it feels isolating.
Those are all different things.
Yes,
And that...
abandoned.
Yeah.
Abandoning. No.
I feel abandoned. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge. Way different than I feel like my partner's never there for me.
Right. And kind of going back to what we talked about last time is, if we're phrasing these things in this, I feel like you're never there for me, how much easier is it for someone to get defensive about that? Because obviously this person is going to have some kind of reaction to that, because it's their behavior that's being spoken about,
Judged,
if not criticized
even.
and judged. Exactly. So we're trying to encourage clarity in communication so that we can achieve better empathy from our partners. Right?
Yeah, when you
Get
say
that?
what you feel, I mean, on the one hand, it's helpful for yourself because you kind of learn about yourself, you learn about your feelings, you learn why you're feeling a certain way, and that's just helpful for self-growth in general, but also it helps your partner empathize, understand you, kind of get on the same page as you, like, oh my gosh, this is making my partner feel isolated? Like, I didn't know that. I thought, you know.
Instead of getting all upset that, oh, you're just making a big deal out about me not being at home and feeling blamed, the partner can really clue into what's the feeling word that my partner's just used, and can I attend to that, and can I create some space to at least just understand where my partner's coming from, you know, no matter what, even if I don't agree with the idea that they should be feeling that way, which we'll talk about later, but
yeah.
So we have these lists because what I find, and it sounds like you too, in couples work is that we know the basic emotions, like the Inside Out movie. You've seen that, right?
I haven't.
No? Oh my gosh. Pause. You need to see that.
I know they talk about happy.
Yes, so there's joy and there's
Surprise?
Sadness and there's... Is there surprise? Fear? There's fear. I guess
Should be a
that's...
surprise.
Well, I guess fear is surprise.
Okay.
And there's angry and there's disgust. So 5 basic emotions. And we typically have those down. Like, I can tell you if I'm feeling more happy or more sad right now. But a deeper level of specificity can be really useful. And we know the words. Like, if we read them, we know what they mean. But we don't always recall them, especially while we're feeling them.
Right. Yeah, the
Really
inside out emotions, I almost feel like are those, I call them surface emotions, and then like stomach, gut emotions.
Yeah.
Like, there's a huge difference, because what we act out is usually like anger or scared or happy, but the stomach emotions are more like, you know, vulnerable. I feel misunderstood. I feel controlled.
And even, I mean, we're therapists. We have the list out. It's, I mean, I'm not saying you carry a list around with you all the time, I guess, but
Mm-hmm.
let's acknowledge that it's really difficult to access the words that we need in the moments that would be most useful to have them.
Right. And that's why they do come out as
Yeah.
anger, or you do something.
Or blaming our partner, or, you know, I feel like you're being a terrible partner right now, instead of are you really identifying what am I feeling in this moment? What's the actual emotion?
And then when you figure it out, it's like, oh, crap, like I
Yeah.
just was blaming and doing all these bad things when really I was just, you know, feeling guarded or feeling smothered
Right.
or that kind of thing.
Or feeling jealous, or feeling, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of these. I don't know that you can actually see these, but they typically get arranged in categories of angry, ashamed, confident, hurt, happy. So they're in categories, and there's a bunch of words that kind of relate to that feeling to help you narrow down. Like if you know the surface emotion that you were just saying is basically anger, then I can look at the anger column and I can see, oh, you know what, I'm feeling really peeved, versus I'm feeling disgusted, or I'm feeling hostile, or I'm feeling rebellious. Those are they have different. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's like a
They're
different context altogether. It puts things into a way different perspective.
Yeah, and each of those have slightly different feelings to them. I mean,
they're all different.
They're different feeling words, but they're going to communicate something different to your partner, because you know all those words. Like, just me saying them right there, you know what the definition is.
Right.
You can identify what that might feel like. It's just, can I communicate that that's what I'm going through? Can I identify it for myself?
It's not easy, especially when something did piss you off or
Yes.
make you angry, and
Yeah.
you just kind of want to do your thing and do what you usually do, and whether that's attack or yell or withdraw or whatever you do, it's really hard to be like, oh man, I feel really disconnected right now. It's just, it takes a lot of practice.
I think sometimes too, because things build up over time, right? Like, we don't usually, well, I don't know, it can happen really suddenly too, but things can also build up over time where I've been feeling left out, or I've been feeling alone, or I've been feeling jealous for a little bit, and I've tried to like push that away, and then like a week or two later something snaps and it comes out as angry, and I am really irritated with you, and I might be able to say that, but then even I can think, well, you know what, actually this is coming from a place of, I was feeling left out, I was feeling, you know, jealous earlier this week, and that has just piled up, and this is, you know, we can dig into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
it's like a volcano versus a rocket ship. That's what I used
tell
to...
me more about that.
Yes.
A volcano versus a rocket ship.
I used to use that when I worked with kids, but it works really well with adults too. Are you the kind of person that holds those things in and lets them fester like a volcano and all of a sudden it erupts? Or are you kind of like a rocket ship and go from 0 to 60 really quickly?
Interesting. Yeah, but neither one is ideal.
Well, not really.
It's just how do you interrupt the process? Knowing which one you are might help.
It does help
with
to
how
know,
it
because
interrupts.
then you can kind of think of, okay, well, if I'm this, then maybe I need to use these feeling words at this point in an argument or disagreement rather than the other two. So.
Yeah, knowing that I'm a rocket ship means I need to pay attention all the time.
Right.
We all need to pay attention all the time.
Yeah. So, and knowing when to say these too, or how to use them in a sentence is important, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, how to use them in
like a Mad Lib.
statement. Yes.
Feelings and Mad Libs.
Yeah. So there's a framework for how you can communicate your emotions to your partner in a way that is less likely to trigger defensiveness or your partner feeling blamed. Now, it feels pretty ridiculous out front, right? It feels
Corny, it's uncomfortable, it's weird.
When introducing this to clients, I'm always like, this is gonna sound completely terrible. Like, this is gonna feel awkward. It's gonna sound awkward, and see if you can make it through a conversation without laughing at each other, basically.
And yeah, they always laugh. But it's like, if you can practice this in this corny, cheesy way and get it down, talking about just normal things and everyday things, think about how easier then it comes when an argument does arise and you already have that in the back of your mind and have that practice.
Yes.
At the, yeah.
So practicing this in moments that are not super intense is really helpful.
Yeah. So I always have clients kind of start by trying this by saying things like they appreciate about each other.
Right, positive emotions.
Yeah.
The ones that are easier to deal with in general. Makes a lot of sense. So.
Right. So what's an example of a, I guess, Mad Lib?
Right. So it's kind of like a fill in the blank, where, so the first little piece is I feel blank, and this blank is an emotion word from your list. The second part of that can be when, or some kind of acknowledgement of what happened to kind of spark that feeling. It didn't create it, but it's kind of the behavior or the incident or whatever was happening that you're reacting to. So when blank. Now, we have to be careful with that one. The third piece is because, and this one is really crucial, I think, and I go over with clients a lot, that this one is the most important one, and it's usually the hardest, because this is the one that asks us to think about, why did this incident or behavior create that emotion in me? Like, how am I responding to that like this?
That takes a lot of thought on your part.
Yes, it takes like digging in, like, why was like that tone you used, why did that create annoyance in me? I have to kind of dig into, well, where's that coming from? What's it pushing on inside of me that now I'm annoyed or whatever it is. But that helps our partners to understand that we're not just saying it's all about you, it's your fault, you made me feel this way, but it's more about because this triggered this for me. And a lot of times this can be a values conversation. This is something that's important to me that I feel like is not being honored, and that's language that we don't really use normally either, but or it's, you know, that sounded a lot like my dad when he got, you know, raging mad, and that's just like scary to me, you know, and so there's usually a reason.
Another example of this is talking about that appreciation conversation, saying like, oh, I really appreciate that you cook for me every night, and then getting deeper into that, finding out you appreciate that because maybe your mom never did that for you growing up, and that she was always at work and you had to either cook for yourself or eat out, and so having a partner that cooks for you is like, oh wow, that's
this makes me feel really special too, like, because that was something I never had when I was growing up. So okay, so example, just for the first few things that we've done, that I feel when I feel really valued when you come home and make dinner for me on a weeknight, because that was something I never really got growing up, or because I'm a really terrible cook and that's too stressful for me. Like, it could be whatever it is for you. But communicating that part about yourself, because that really helps to cut out that defensiveness piece that we've talked about before, where I need to be able to share my emotions without triggering that, or, you know, creating some space for someone to not get so defensive. Obviously there's some responsibility on the other side too, but can I set the stage for this to be kind of a productive conversation where someone might empathize with me? The wrapping up piece of that kind of Mad Lib that we've been talking about is, and sometimes it's not necessary, but like an I need blank so that blank can be really helpful, especially if you're asking someone to change their behavior or to do something differently.
So what about the example with coming home late or something like that? And that really upsets you or makes you feel alone or something like that when your partner comes home late. What do you need from them to either make that easier or to eliminate that, or maybe you need a text knowing they're on their way.
Or I need you to at least let me know, you know, that you might be home late if it's not by dinner time or whatever, so that I can know that you're thinking about me. I can know that I'm important to you because you know that that's, you know, causes this kind of emotion in me,
Right.
or so that, you know, I don't spend a lot of time slaving over the stove and creating, you know, making dinner for you when you're not planning on being here.
Right.
You know, if that's what's bothering me, if that was my because, you know. So it can relate back to what was the reason why, so that this can be different.
Yeah. So I feel blank.
Mm-hmm. When blank. Yes.
Because. And then I need
blank so that.
Yes.
Blank. And it might be a so that it could also be a so that we. You know, bring your partner into that conversation so that we can
eat dinner together.
Yeah.
Spend quality time together.
Right. So that, you know, so that we can, or like you're asking your partner to spend so much money so that we can go on vacation sometime. You know, like there's a partnership about this that is super important. So
we can even put the Mad Lib on the screen or something.
Oh yeah, we can. We'll put it up there.
Yeah.
We'll figure out how to do that.
Yeah, or put it underneath the video so that you can do your own feelings Mad Libs.
Right. Trying that out, and it will sound, like we said, ridiculous at first because we're
so
not
bad.
used to speaking like this at all. It's really funny, actually. If you can be lighthearted about it, it'd be really great because
you have to be, right?
because we're trying something that's totally new usually. Like we don't typically speak like this.
Right.
We, like we said before, we say thoughts instead of feelings when we say I feel.
And once you practice enough, you put your own spin on it. It doesn't always come out exactly like that, but you put your own spin on it, your own, you use it in your own conversation with your own words.
Yeah, it starts to sound less scripted and more natural, and that's the goal. Is to just have it be a little bit more natural to even, I mean, you might leave some parts out, you know, you don't always need all 5 blanks in there. But
Blank,
here's
blank,
the general
blank,
idea.
blank.
Yeah.
Blank, beep, blank.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
So we wanted to just kind of provide that format because having that structure, I think, can be really helpful in slowing us down enough to say, how can I do this just slightly differently?
Right. And it takes a while, I think. This isn't a conversation that just happens like that. No. I mean, you kind of have to sit down with each other and go over this and maybe even take a quick break. You go get a drink of water, you come back and finish.
Right. Or sometimes, for my clients, I'm like, also, when you're trying this at home, like, intro it with something.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that really awkward thing.
That
right now.
Yeah,
that we're trying in therapy.
Or some people will, like, put it on the refrigerator.
Yeah, I've had people do that too. Like, keep a feeling word list in the house somewhere so that when you're trying this, you can have a word list to look at, because I tell you what, that I feel piece, it really helps to really narrow in on what is it I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
And we can't always do that in the moment.
No, because something has triggered us usually already.
Yes.
And then to get back to the front part of your brain to think of these things is just...
So if you're feeling a challenging emotion, it's going to be practically impossible to recall any of these.
Yeah.
So then it's hard even when it's the positive ones. Like, I'm feeling happy.
No.
I'm feeling...
What are the happy ones?
Yeah, I'm feeling tender toward you, or warm, or I'm feeling like delighted, or joyful, or mischievous. Like, I'm feeling playful, or you know, identify it. What is it? It's, you know, happy, joyous kind of feeling, but let's give it some specificity.
So it's okay to take it out and be like, hey, let's try this silly thing, and
just doing that, just that shift can start to interrupt the pattern that you guys have been in already, right? So we're caught up in usually in some kind of pattern of, I say something that sounds critical to my partner gets defensive, and and now it goes terribly, horribly wrong. Whereas immediately as we kind of take out our feeling sheet, we're interrupting that. We're saying, it's kind of a clue, we're doing something different now.
Yeah.
We're doing this completely awkward thing. But that can put everybody on pause a little bit to hear differently.
It also takes a weight off. It takes like this icky thing out of the mix, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it becomes something different.
Yeah.
I think is the key. Yeah. So, and I guess, what we want to do is to actually follow up this episode with another episode of, okay, my partner has used this framework, this phrasing, this I feel when because I need so that. Now what?
Yeah. How do you respond to that, and what can you say in return, so that it doesn't
Escalate.
start up something? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you can keep it at that low level of escalation and calm.
Yes, so we will come back to that in our next episode. So if this has been interesting to you, we will have another Mad Lib for you next time.
Yes.
Kind of a fill in the blank of how to respond when my partner has tried this thing that's really awkward.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of sitting here going, okay.
Yeah. What do I say now?
Right.
So yeah, if you have any questions,
Yes,
let
questions.
us
Anything that we didn't cover that you would want us to in the future, like we say all the time, send us topics. We're happy to hear them.
know. Yes. Give us some ideas.
Yes. Well, I think that kind of wraps
That's
up
it.
our
Yeah.
episode for today.
All right. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh, gracious. Well, that was good.
Yeah.
I was